Good morning and afternoon. Welcome to the bucket. We haven't done like a fun intro in a while. I'm gonna go for it. Steven
or fighting. Shane.
Simon.
Fucker.
I can't go high.
Welcome to the bucket, which temporarily has been the Native PHP podcast.
Essentially.
and I think this episode is going to continue that trend a little bit because, the thing we want to talk about today is whether or not we should, and if we do, how we go about offering trials for Native PHP packages and licenses. So, I don't know. Do you guys want to do any catch up, or do we want to just roll straight into that topic?
You make me hungry. Ketchup, roll.
Oh, actually, we do have something, because by the time this episode comes out, Shane will be just days away from flying somewhere to do something. Shane, what you got going on, next week, technically this week for listeners?
Oh, that's funny choice of words you said there. Technically this week. Oh. We were invited to talk at PHP Tech like a week ago. So I went to
No stress.
Last minute
no
much.
stress. Whatever. That's how I roll, baby. I was in Minneapolis. I think we talked about that in the last episode, right?
Yeah.
So I was in Minneapolis last week for just a local meetup up there that we were sponsoring, and wanted to show everybody about Native PHP and whatever, and eat some good pizza. Thank you, Ben. So good. It was so good at the Meat Lovers.
I'm hungry.
I love
I
the
haven't
meat.
eaten any lunch, and the pizza makes me hungry.
You can't mention pizza in front of Simon.
He's British. He sounds like he's whining.
Now he's getting
all the
bloated.
time.
Don't do
We're
an
gonna start
impression
hearing
of me
his
again.
stomach.
Do an impression of me again. Anyway,
I'm Shane, and I like doing. That's terrible.
what the hell was that? All right, we need to cut that out. That was embarrassing for you.
No, don't now. That's going to be great.
Oh God. So I went to Minneapolis. I get back. I think it was the day that I got back. It might have been the day after, but Simon sends me a screenshot of the guys from like an email thread that was started between them, and was like, they want us to talk at PHP Tech. I'm like, dude, are you going to fly all the way from freaking Africa and come and do this? Or he's like, no, I think you should do it. And I'm like, yes. Yeah. When I started,
I think you should do it. That's exactly
it's
how I
horrible.
said it.
That's not even a good impression of yourself, dude. That's horrible.
That's my impression of your impression of me. That's why it's so bad.
Right. I see. I see. When we first actually, and this goes back into a little bit of my story and stuff like that, which if anybody's been listening, I don't think they're going to go back and listen to all of the podcasts, but there was a good amount of time when I just sat on the couch and did literally nothing, like 6 months, like nothing. I didn't even have my office set up. I didn't have a computer, a laptop. In all of that, in looking for myself and what I wanted to be, I got towards the end of that, I got to this state of mind where it's like, if it sounds at all exciting, the answer is yes for me. Like, I just need to start moving towards what excitement is, whatever it is that seems exciting to me, and just say yes. We've talked about like stage fright and my fear of stage fright, whatever, a lot, I think. And I'm just pushing through that. Like, I feel like this is definitely the way that my career is going. We're already getting asked to talk at, this is a pretty decent sized conference. I think there's 250 people. That's more than the 6 people that I talked to at the meetup in freaking Greenville, in January, that I was like shaking like a leaf after, like literally. And I mean, Matt Stauffer was there, but that didn't really affect me, honestly. But
Matt Stauffer
not like
strikes
that.
fear into everyone.
That's true. Like a Viking, isn't he? He's like freaking huge, and like, I think he would
His voice
definitely
is booming.
1,000 years ago, he would have had like he'd be wielding a sword. I just feel like that's the kind of guy. You know what I mean?
An axe,
And
probably.
holding
yes.
someone's head.
An
in
axe,
somebody's-
an axe,
Like a war hammer?
swinging it around. Yeah, dude. Love you, Matt.
Matt, I'm so sorry if you listen to this episode.
I'm not. You're cool, dude. So yeah, so moving towards excitement, saying yes to things. I'm really starting to learn and see, not just like have this knowing of, but seeing the people that are closest to me, and almost like getting. That's you guys. That's Victoria, my dad, Craig. It's a very
Victoria's
small.
your dad.
Victoria, my dad. She's the. I would say she has less hair, but she doesn't technically. Anyway, I'm not going down that road.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. Everything just changed. Everything. What was happening?
I think.
I have a close group of people. That's what I was getting at. And I feel like in a sense, I've kind of been like, there's a sense of like almost like, what is that? It's like a, I don't want to feel showy. I don't want to show off. I don't want people to think like, oh, he's some hot shit. And look at him, Ushti, which is Russian. That's what Victoria says. But it's almost like my close group of people are rooting for me to be what I feel like I naturally am supposed to be. And I've been trying to suppress that for a long time. And I got to this point where it's like, F it. This is who I am. If no one likes it, if everyone does, it doesn't matter. Like, I just have to be me, and whatever that might result in, that's going to result in. But I've got to at least live this life without any regrets and say that I did it fully and just go out and do whatever it is. And I do feel like a lot of that is like having permission from you guys and to be the like in my mind when I'm practicing the talk and everything, I was always kind of like timid and still like fumbling through things, and I'm like, it would be cool if it was more like TED Talk style and it's just like, but that seems kind of showy. But it's like, I think that's what people kind of, not TED Talk-ish style, but more polished, more presentable, more ready, even if that means like I'm showing a side of myself that people aren't yet familiar with. It's still part of who I am. And that's what I am excited to experiment with and discover more on my own and share it with people that are around me. But yes, PHP Tech next week, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Wrigley Field Ballroom, which is their biggest ballroom. It's the last talk of the day. And then we're going to stay there and hang out Thursday as well, which is the last day of the conference. And then we fly back Friday evening. We're going to do a little sightseeing while we're there because I've never been to Chicago. And that's it.
Excellent. Good announcement and group therapy session.
Seriously.
Well done, Shane.
Well, that's
Well
what this
done.
is all about. This is
That is what this is
the
about.
bucket.
Above and beyond group therapy sessions.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So yeah, anybody going to Chicago? It's very interesting. That like, I know this is common for bigger conferences. I guess I just didn't expect PHP conference to be this way, but having multiple speakers per hour time slot so that attendees kind of pick and choose who of the three at any given moment they kind of go in and listen to. So I'm not sure if that puts more pressure on you, because then people in the audience for you, Shane, like really wanted to be there. I mean, there was opportunity cost, right? They had two other folks they could have listened to. So now you really got to deliver. I'm just screwed with you, man.
There's also the risk that they all go to the other sessions.
Yeah, see, because like at Laracon EU for Simon, it was either they listen to him or they go to the bathroom or something. Like they're just gonna listen to him.
That's
So,
where everybody was.
No pressure. No.
That's why there was no toilet paper when I was done talking.
They were at the Amsterdam cafes, if you know what that is. And okay, all right. Funny bit over. So I'm really interested to talk about the trialing stuff for native PHP, but I think we need to establish a little bit of context for folks. Because there are, I think, 3 options. We either don't offer them, We either offer them in the traditional sense of some reduced price or down to zero. I don't know. That's what we'll talk about. And then you get a very limited duration time slot to try to use the packages before that kind of license expires. And then 3, this is the one that needs context. Marcel, friend of the show, messaged you guys the other day, with this app idea that could help with this experience without those other 2 options. So for one of you two that understood what Marcel was showing better than I did, can we provide that context, explain what that was, and then we'll get into how that might fit in? Does that make sense? Is that a good... I think that's a good place to start, so.
Yeah. Well,
Smoke before fire. Go for it, Simon.
the kind of the idea. I mean, Marcel kind of done a bit of an implementation. You know, he likes to tinker with all of this stuff, so he's picked some of the stuff up. He's got access to all this, so he picked some of that up and he's like playing around with it. He was doing what do you call it? Refreshing. You know, like auto refreshing. That kind of thing.
Hot reload.
Hot
yeah.
reloading. That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Thank you. And yeah, the kind of there's a bit of an extension to that, I guess, which is you're having to move some of the kind of changes in your application into a new spot, right? So that it can reload with that stuff. And like in principle, that's kind of the same as you could just be a completely different application, right? That gets chucked into the shell. And that's quite interesting because it opens up some doors to things that we've talked a little bit about it before, but I kind of had this thing a few weeks ago where I was saying, oh, it would be so cool if we had like a desktop app that you could just mess around with the native APIs like they were working on a phone. But actually, that's pointless because you can just have this like shell application that would, I don't mean shell as in terminal, I mean like it's just a shell of an application that then you load the Laravel application, your Laravel application, into this shell application, and then it's got access to all the native APIs. So you could install the shell application on your phone, then load your Laravel application into it, knowing that it's then going to have access to all the native stuff. And then your Laravel application could start doing the native stuff.
By way
without
of
you having
a
to
local
pay for
reverb
anything.
server. I think that's important to note. Like you said, load the Laravel app into it. And it's like, wait, it's running on how do I do that? It's literally an artisan command that starts up a local reverb server that is pushing content to the device. And so you are able to build in real time and have access to all the native functionality, etc. But it's not giving out all that code or any of that code really. You're just building a Laravel app and sending it to the device and able to build that way.
Yep. And that's really cool because it means in theory that you could have you could explore and play around with all of the native features without having to buy a license. So you would download this app, which we could definitely make available for free, and then you build your Laravel app, and you just have to put the code in the right places and stick it in the right shape so that it gets into the app on the device or on the simulator, and hey presto, jobs are good. So that it's cool. There would be some like catches and caveats and all of this stuff. Like you wouldn't probably have a full version of the library in your IDE, so some of you get squiggly lines basically. There'd be weirdness.
I like my
there
autocomplete.
that- yeah, exactly. Autocomplete would be missing. Mm.
Okay.
I mean, there's ways. There's like we could have again like a skeleton package that you work with for that kind of just
Or
You know
even like
what,
has
though?
all
IE
the
helper
interfaces and
files
stuff.
with
But
just signatures
yeah,
or something.
exactly. I mean,
Mhm.
that's principally the same thing. But
You
yeah.
Yeah.
know what, though? I remember this guy talking about native PHP for iOS in Amsterdam or whatever. And they were like, is it going to be a really big download size? And they're like, nah, unfortunately, it's going to be a really. And then guess what, Simon? We freaking got that down. So any of the challenges or things that we think we'll have to compromise on now, I wouldn't even start talking about them because we could figure out a lot of solutions. I think we've proven that.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, in many ways, it's still I think it's good to still be open about the journey and the iterative trajectory of all of this stuff because, we can talk about all the hypotheticals and set kind of undue expectations for the quality that's going to come out, and the fact is we want to get it out sooner. We just want to get stuff to people that's going to like make their lives easier, but that's not going to be in perfect state all of the time. So just, yeah, heads up. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll keep on refining basically. The more we can do, the more resource we can throw at this whole thing, the better it's going to get for everybody. And the fact is, we've got, these aren't just ideas. Like Marcel put a proof of concept together and it works. It's like it's possible. We're gonna get there with all of this stuff. It is just a case of time. So
That's the big dilemma, the way that I see it. It's just so overwhelming.
Mm.
It's amazing. Look, first of all, that we've got the track, and I think that anybody that's done anything great or whatever, from the outside looking in, which is all that I had experience with before this project, it's like, yeah, but you'll be fine. You'll figure things out. Like being on the inside of this, I'm 7 days a week, 20 hours a day, doing all the things, and it's like it is overwhelming. There's a lot that is going on. There's a lot of planning and strategizing, and sometimes I just find myself a bit what's that word, paralyzed, I guess, because I don't
Yeah.
even know which direction to start running into or running towards. And I think that it needs to be talked about. Like, we want more help. We want to open source the project. We want all these things. We see everybody's comments. We see everyone's arguments about trials and free and all this stuff. Um and there's a lot of reasons why it's not free. You can make money building this stuff. And so we do see that there's value here. What would I pay as a developer for something like this? And, all those things. But yeah, there's just a lot going on with all that
Mm,
stuff. But we want
sure.
help. We want some companies to see the future and potential of this, and that can come in and help us to hire the right people and that kind of stuff. So I think that needs to go. That shouldn't go without saying, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys found yourself in what I would call explosive growth. And, for a lot of wishful entrepreneurs, they try really, really hard to get to a place where they get one plate off the ground, right? They went from 0 to 1. The one plate gets up in the air and it's like, that, sweet. I have reached some level of validation, some level of success. And then that's what they're handling. For you guys, you went from like working on a bunch of this stuff and then like, whoosh, all of a sudden there's 12 plates in the air and you're just trying to like
Yeah.
keep all of these different things going. So you're kind of trying to catch up to what has been adopted so quickly. And yeah, it's a completely different, battle to try to face. What I'm kind of curious to hear from you guys and your perspective. If we take a step back, right? And again, we're talking about offering trials. If so, what mechanism do we do to do that? At least within a timeline conversation. Who do you think is the actual target for trials? Like, who needs them? Why would we put any effort into offering any sort of it?
I have
Right?
an answer.
All right, well then you go first, Shane.
I as a consumer, I don't want to fork over money to see if this is something that I want to use or not. If I'm already working for a company or building something or have a project idea, app idea or whatever, I want to see how much of that I can accomplish before I have to pay anything. Because what if I give you $50 or $100 and then I can't do what I want to do? Then I'm out that money. And I think that's the most logical, simplest, and fully validating the whole concept of some sort of trialing. Yeah, that's my easy take on that.
Okay. Simon, you in agreement?
100%. There isn't really any other use case. Like people will say that, I want a trial, really just as a way to get access to the thing without paying for it. And that's fine. Like as we said, we want to make something of it open source at some point anyway, so this is sort of a step in that direction if we start thinking about offering some kind of trial. And at the end of the day, like all of the source code, when you pay for a license, if you weren't paying for it, if you trialed it and you didn't buy it, it's open, like it's source available.
Right. It comes into your directory.
Yeah, it's got to be. Like for the most part, it's got to be, because you've got to compile your application. You've got to build all that stuff. We don't give you a pre-formatted iOS app or a pre-formatted Kotlin app. It's there, fully open. You can modify, you can do whatever you want. You build your app your way. Here's a bunch of pre-configured stuff that will make it work with Laravel, basically. So you can do most of your work in Laravel. And so, like, of necessity, you've got everything open, basically. And yeah, the only defense we've got really for that is like, well, you agreed to this license, by virtue of paying for it and using it. And this license says that you can't you can't redistribute this. You can't sell it to other people. If you haven't got a license, like if you've only just trialed it, you're not allowed to distribute apps, like production apps, through stores and sideloading and whatever, because you're not licensed to do that. So, do that at your absolute risk. But yeah, I like if we could have this mechanism, then I think it opens the door to certainly a lot more people being able to determine whether it's the right fit for them right now. And I think it would be actually a really good foot in the door. I think a load of people would end up signing up.
Okay. So then my question is, if we think that is the, target person or team, what's the difference in your mind between a dedicated like trial option that's, when I mean that, it's like kind of marketed that way. It has like a different price or whatever, or free. And so it's very clearly like an option. What's the difference between that and simply rolling with exactly what is in place right now, but offering a 30-day money back guarantee? Which is like, hey, if you don't like this, reach out to some email of ours, support ticket, and that's fine. Like, we revoke your license, we give you a refund, off you go.
There are two, like at least two core considerations for something like that. So the one is the cost, right? Just because we offer it for free, like essentially free, because you're saying, well, it's money back guarantee or whatever. Like if you're not completely happy, you're not going to continue with it, it's fine. We'll give you your money back. That will actually cost us. So net, like volume will be a deficit for us, because we'll pay Stripe fees. At the minimum, it's Stripe fees on whatever this initial amount would have been. So we go out of pocket, and that,
which was a very annoying realization. I will just say, completely side tangent. When we started using Stripe, man, the first time, like you hit that refund option and you don't get those Stripe fees back.
Yeah.
And, you know, for like some of what we're doing at Backer Club, like that's a decent amount of money in fees.
Yep.
It's just like, wait, what? Anyways.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
kind
anybody
of
out
sickening.
there, yeah, for anybody out there that's starting a business using Stripe and you are kind of thinking of refunds being a heavy part of your process, keep that in mind. You lose, you know, 3 to 4% every single time you do that. So,
I mean,
anyways, okay. So yeah,
that's going to be pretty standard with a lot of payment gateways as they sort of try and claw back fees and you know, support their shareholders and what have you. But yeah, Stripe were like notorious in a good way years ago because they did refund you the Stripe fee as well, but they changed it some years later, and yeah, they don't anymore. So
I wish
that's
they would
kind of
do that for
painful.
like, you know, Stripe accounts that aren't doing more than $1 million a year or something like that, right? Just to kind of like help the little guy. But anyway, that's a completely different topic. Let's not go there.
So the second thing to consider with that whole like money back is essentially like scalability, because it's an overhead, right? You're going to end up with a whole bunch unless you've got, and this is the other, you know, there's two sides to this coin. One is that you don't build a tool to enable people to do this like as a self-help thing, and so they're gonna contact someone. Like, we haven't got a customer support team, it's me and Shane. So they're gonna contact one of us, and look at him, he's so handsome. You should contact him, actually. Just say hi, say thank you, call me,
cinema ping.
Anyway, so you end up contacting somebody, and then we've got to do a manual process to like do the refund, close out the license, and you know, we can make some of that smooth, but blah 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 blah. So the other way is to say it's all self-serve, and you just go, I'm not going to continue, cancel, and the refund happens. You know, so like then you've got the cost of building that solution, although it's not that much, maybe in terms of time and effort, maintenance, you know, of that particular piece of the system.
But
So
it's just me and Simon, you know what I mean? We do have help. Steven has been helping. I wouldn't say that necessarily, but it's still limited. I mean, for as much of all the other things that we're doing right now, it's still limited.
Okay, stop. Because this is not the way I would do it.
Sin.
I think if you were going to go this route, we would tap into the standard trial mechanisms that Stripe
does.
So
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
So it would
that's another whole consideration, and I think that's a lot less headache, less problems, etc. It's a 7-day trial, credit card up front. You have 7 days to play around with it. We're going to charge you after 7 days, or you just cancel the subscription through Stripe.
Yep.
And then that alleviates the burden
answer.
of everything, right?
So then the argument, or I guess the question between an option like that and a dedicated trial card or something on the website or somewhere would be that, you know, that trial mechanism through Stripe is initially totally free, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas I guess hypothetically, this is what we're brainstorming, if you made a dedicated trial option, it wouldn't technically have to be free. It could be some other terms, price, duration, what that turns into afterwards. I don't know. But do you have any thoughts on that?
The problem with that approach is that then you're on, I say you know, like we have to figure out how to essentially migrate from this trial product to the real product. Stripe's already got trialing baked into the subscription flow as standard, like for every product, like every subscription product you set up, you can basically set trial periods and all of that kind of thing. So I just don't see why we would do it that way. You know, you're saying just to like charge some money from the off. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think that's classic for me. Like the juice definitely isn't worth the squeeze, because there's going to be a load of headache. There's going to be a load of edge cases. There's going to be a weirdness. I think, you know, just make it a short, free trial. And when it closes out, It's simple. Not only do you uh, not have the chance to update the package anymore, you can't get it anymore. Like your license gets revoked completely. So um, there wouldn't
And
even be like you could use it after that.
I think that the other really big benefit of that. So just from a sales perspective, which is what we're talking about, I see a huge value in that because say it's 7 or 14 days, whatever it is, we are pumping out this first year is going to be, we're just pumping out new APIs all the time. Look at our roadmap. We have so many things that we need to add. So if you get your 7-day trial and then you cancel it for whatever reason, you're going to need to sign back up because if you're trying to if right now Bluetooth isn't available, right? In 2 months, a month, who knows when, like at some point very soon, it's going to be available. So if you went through your trial and like, oh, no Bluetooth. Well, first of all, look at the roadmap. Second of all, because we are updating that weekly. But second of all, yeah, you'll have to come back and there will be more and more and more features. So especially this first year. And for us, it's crucial this first year um, to get as much capital as we can to see the longevity of the project. And it's not a capitalistic greed play or anything like that. I think initially I was a little nervous and felt like just internally not bad, but like how to justify whatever pricing. But it's gotten to the point now where this is all consuming. It is the way I mean, we talked about this last week. It is the validation for the pricing is in the fact that we raised $100,000 in sales, not in like earning, like going after VC or anything like that. In just sales, in just we say 3 months. We keep saying 3 months, but like I think 50 grand or 40 grand was in a week or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's continuing to grow. We're already doing great this month. And like there's going to be a long future. People want this is what I'm trying to say. They need this kind of solution. And the more that people adopt this, which there's already hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of licenses out there. I think
Almost
we're nearing
1,000.
I was
Almost.
going to say, do you have a count actually? Because I haven't seen that.
It's like
100 and
890
something.
Jesus. All right. So almost 1,000 licenses sold. Probably by the end of the month, we'll be at 1,000 then. That means that they're building apps for themselves, for their clients, which means agencies are going to have clients come to them in the future saying, I've got this app and I need help because my developer died or he walked away or whatever. And they need to learn how to do this stuff. And so it's just the future of the project is already secured. But we are still just a 2.5 man. We do have contributors. I don't want to leave the fellas out. Pete and Esser and Willem are really like, I go into Discord and just see their comments every morning, and I'm like, thank God that I don't have to deal with all this stuff. Like that is so helpful. Just kind of like front loading, like offloading some of the burden for support tickets and stuff.
They definitely deserve a shout out.
Stuff. Huge, fellas. You got me right in the so
Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is all really good. I think to try to play devil's advocate, the only argument I could make of a dedicated trial card that people could click would be to put just a very low price on it, but something that is not zero. And that is purely to separate like the people that actually have no intention of doing anything with this, and yet those folks might still get the free the 7-day free option, and then they add to the overall like support burden because they jump into Discord or other locations and they say, hey, I didn't care to read the docs. I just tried to install this and get going. Now I'm getting this error. Somebody help me fix this because I don't want to try to figure it out. And that might only be a small portion, but if you suddenly had lots of people doing this because it is free initially, then that does equate to something. Okay. Might be a small argument there, but a little bit of something. And two, I guess like in my mind, I almost feel like maybe we're using the wrong word for this fourth option. instead of like a trial, I would almost maybe consider it being a personal option, which is like, hey, keep in mind, this is all in context of me thinking after May 31st, when pricing has changed a little bit, so that even the mini plan is $100 a year. So I'm kind of thinking like, gosh, yeah, for either free or very, very little money, there's like a personal option, which means you do get to use it. You get one developer seat, and you are simply not allowed to publish it to an app store. It is local only. I don't know how we would do such a thing at the moment.
Can't.
But that framing, rather than thinking of like you go to, nativephp.com/mobile plug, and you see a card that literally says trial, it would be just personal.
Yeah. I think the problem with that is the technical challenge. We can't actually stop anybody once they've got the code from publishing, trying
Challenge
to publish.
accepted.
Well, I mean, no, we're gonna have some stuff in there that's gonna make it really annoying if you do that and you haven't got a license. Simple as that. But then the other thing is it's kind of the scale issue again. It's like you're gonna get a bunch of people doing that, having problems, whatever, maybe getting some value out of it. But you're supporting all of those people. It doesn't matter if it's free or like, even I'll say $50, but even that I think people will balk at because they're balking at the current $50. So it's going to have to be like lower
like
than
10.
that. Yeah. And it's just like $10, like per what? Like not per, it's just going to be once. And they're going to be then forever like hassling. Nah, it's not worth it, basically.
I think I agree.
And yeah. Also, well, I was going to say, what was I going to say?
Something about tea or something, probably.
Yeah. They're not going to bring me, they're not going to bring me Marmite. That's the most important thing. I need Marmite. I can't get that here.
Probably one of the strongest arguments I could make for like a personal plan that is free. One, you get no support, no like priority support, right? So there's peer-to-peer, sure. But anyways, what's jumping into my mind is that I feel like maybe for good or for bad, I'm not sure yet, a lot of the software engineering, software development industry does have paid products, some of them very expensive. And to get people in the door, they do these personal plans. And so I guess my point here is like, again, for good or for bad, it's actually probably for bad, but if it's the norm, if it's what is kind of expected, then I do think there is a little bit of force there that's like under consideration for us. All that being said, I know it's burned a lot of companies. Plan at Scale has moved away from a personal plan.
Look, if we did what everybody else was doing, we wouldn't even have this product in the first place.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to even. That's never a valid argument for me ever. I don't care what everybody else is doing ever. Sorry.
I think the like making people pay and then they can't really do anything with it. That's just going to be a bummer for them, you know. Like, okay, they paid a little bit less than everybody else, but now they've paid for a thing, and all they've been able to do is mess about with it.
Tinker.
And I just don't think that's good enough, honestly. I think that's poor. I think that's just a poor experience.
Yeah, if you were to kind of match the norm, which is the point I'm trying to make, it would have to be free. I'm thinking like we had a use case where I was considering single store for something that I was working on, which is like a big old beast of a database system. And, you try to do like education to figure out if it's going to meet the requirements of the business, how to interact with it. I hadn't done that stuff before. Luckily, Jack Ellis has published a lot of stuff because they use it for Fathom. And so there was a little bit of headway, but at the end of the day, it was like, ultimately, I need to get this installed somewhere to see how it goes. And so that was one of the really positive examples of, they do allow you to try it in a local environment for free to kind of verify that it's going to do what you do. I feel like that's maybe, that's kind of a very different scenario. I guess in just the most basic sense, it's like this black box of magic, which for me, like what you guys are doing,
it's not even the technology that's the problem there. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like we're saying, you get the code, you've got the code. That's it. Simple. Like the technology isn't the issue. It's the business. Can the business swallow that? And Single Store have decided that they can, probably because they've got like VC backing or funds coming from elsewhere.
Customers.
It's like where you can actually you're at a scale where you can go, you can see the whole problem, the whole space that you're addressing. You can see your throughput of customers, from free to like, what's the funnel? How long is it? How big are they? What's their lifetime value or churn? All of the numbers. And they're going, so we know that we can afford, at least for a time, to have a certain number of people just go through this free experience, and it just amount to nothing. And that's going to be a cost for us. And that's just it.
Customer
it's like
acquisition cost that's still net positive versus LTV.
We're not at that stage. Like, customer acquisition cost for us kind of needs to be as little as possible. And right now, we don't even know what it is. Like, it's not zero. No, but the reality is it's not zero. We don't know what it is because we haven't done that exercise, because we haven't got time to do that exercise because we're doing too many other things. So it's just like it's a complete distraction to even try and figure that out.
Maybe. I don't know. That's like been my livelihood for the last.
All right. Look, I'm going to interject here. Number one.
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of things to touch on here. Number one, I want to, whatever the solution is, I'd rather take months to figure it out, build it one time, and that's it for the longevity of the project, until we're acquired or we have money coming in from somewhere else and we can just open source everything or something like that. Number one. Because, and that ties into the number one argument I see on, Laravel Daily put out a video on us today, actually, and it's already got like 4,000 views and 200 likes something, and it's been like 8 hours, and that's awesome. Nice. All of the comments, not all of the comments, a lot of comments regarding pricing, everyone says, why would anyone do this? It's disgusting. I can't believe people would pay for something that's already free. Well, tell that to the bottled water companies. Number one. Number two.
Bottled water.
Yeah. Right. Number two.
You could drink ocean water for a little bit.
All right. This is the way that I see our real value here is much bigger than you can build mobile apps with Laravel. It far exceeds that. We are the first company ever, the way I see it, that did not force you to learn a new technology in order to build mobile apps. We adapted mobile apps to the existing framework that you're already using. So it's very niche to Laravel developers, which is a huge audience, and it's always growing. And there's more coming in, which means it's always growing. That's number one. So number two is Flutter, React Native, Capacitor all have lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And they make their money on the product through other ways. And we don't have lots and lots and lots and lots of money. It's just us for now, right? And so that whole argument, I think, kind of echoes in my mind when I see the comments. I just like, settle down. It's okay. It's just, they just don't understand. And that's all right. Like, because I see 50 comments probably in the last 3 months around this. But I see 900 licenses sold, right? Yeah. So exactly. That doesn't actually affect me, the project, or anything like that. As far as the longevity of the project, having a single solution, I see really the best solution is to have the type of app that Marcel put together, and having a way to, like, you're building your Laravel app when you're ready and you can totally test everything out here. You can upgrade your license now through the app somehow. We can even do in-app billing or something like that, and it's seamless. That way, no code is ending up in anybody's hands. There's no security vulnerability as far as like what they have, what they don't have. They pay for it when they are ready to buy, and that's it. Maybe I missed the argument against that. I also do see the value of a 7-day, it could be 14-day trial too. I think like as we gain more traction and more awareness, the attraction will gain as well, or the traction will gain as well. We can expand that time from 7 to 14 or something like that. But here's the code. But then the problem is then for the hackers or the wannabe people that want to just pull in the code, give me my money back or cancel my subscription. They've got a code, they can release it to the app stores. They got one over on us or whatever, right? And there's that whole war battle between us versus them, which I don't want at all in my life, because I am one of them, right? This is our community that we're selling this to. So it's not us versus them. It is us and us. And so I want them to come alongside of us, see what we're doing, see the real value in this, and say, look, either you're paying money for this because you can make money by having this you just upgraded your Laravel skill set, right? Not even upgraded your Laravel skill set. You just took all of the knowledge you've already got and you have a new platform you can build for and you can sell to your clients. So
yeah, unlocked, not upgraded.
Unlocked.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So
I think the 50 out of 1,000, and it's going to be less than that. I mean, that sounds like a lot because it's like, 5%. Yeah, but I bet it's not 50 for a start. You said 50 like off the top of your head, so I bet it's not even that, because I haven't seen 50 in 3 months, and I'm like on the socials all the flipping time.
I saw 15 today. I was on the Laravel
that's
Daily.
just because of that. But that's also like speaks to the kind of audience that particular creator
Correct.
has got, and whatever. So that could be biases all around, in that one little corner, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of people that don't want to pay for this kind of thing. I haven't seen that. I've had people come to me and say, I can't afford it at the moment, or I can't afford these prices because I'm in a different country where the value of like $50 is way more expensive than like what it would, but the equivalent would be for goods and services in my local currency. So those are more of like the considerations that I've got going on in my head. And this whole thing, I just think this is a classic case. I can't remember the name of this, but like where you're seeing the things that people are saying, but you're not seeing the things that people are not saying. And the things that people are not saying, but they are saying with their wallet is
okay. Yeah.
Overall, we are prepared to pay for this thing. And
Right.
like you said, Shane, it's growing. It's been growing every month for the last, coming up to 4 months. The only thing that I think stands in the way of that just being, well, this is what we just continue doing, is because we set this line in the sand about the pricing changing, right? So I'm going to just caveat all of that with, we could find out next month that it just changes and people aren't comfortable with this new pricing. And then maybe we address, but the solution to that might not be, we get a bunch of people having a free trial. That's certainly not going to solve any revenue problem. That's only going to solve getting people in the door. It could be we offer discounts. It could be that we revert the pricing entirely and just go, we're going to stick with the EAP pricing because it worked, or whatever. But like, we shouldn't like try and put the cart before the horse. I don't think what I'm trying to say is we don't have a really clear picture that trialing or some kind of money back thing is gonna open the door to loads. I think we've got a very strong, educated hunch that what it will do is increase adoption dramatically. But is that what we want to do right now? I don't think it is. I think what we want right now is more revenue.
It's an important question. That's an important question. Yeah.
So,
And that,
a lot of the people that make this comment about price, and it's always strung along with why would you do this? Because it'll never grow. And the typical thinking that I've seen and that I'm interpreting from that is, because then it won't grow, I don't want to invest my money in it because then it will disappear. But the reality is completely
So
the opposite.
backwards.
Yeah, the reality is totally the opposite to that. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that to convince people to pay and invest and spend their time. I'm just saying, like, if it was free, then it definitely wouldn't survive because
Yeah,
there's
ask the
just
maintainer
no
of
way.
Core.js how that goes. And every time you do npm install or compose, and it's, like 127 maintainers are looking for funding. Hey, this hasn't been updated. Like the last release was
6 years
14
ago.
months ago because
Yeah. Because
yeah, whenever
people
it's
making
FOSS,
it has to have a real job to pay
Yeah.
the bills. And that's
look, there's three scenarios for FOSS people. Either you are trying to put together something that is like a portfolio piece because you want to get hired, you want notoriety. There is some sort of personal gain that comes from having your work out in the public that people are using. And like, no matter what, that is still personal gain. It's just in a different avenue. Okay. Then there's like the open source, the FOSS, that is done by large companies. Okay. This is like when ByteDance, puts out their version of React Native and stuff. It is a positive PR stunt.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. They have like the capacity to maintain it. It's probably something the company is using internally. And in order to get into the good graces of a community, they are trying to make it available for people. And then there's the third, which is like the tiniest sliver, I would say. And it's, people that are comfortable with their work life situation and they somehow have the capacity to work on these things and put them out there for like genuinely the philanthropic aspect of it. And they have no, like, one of the few people I can think of that does this a lot is Nuno. Yeah, at least in the PHP space. And that's just because I know him personally, and I know that like a lot of the stuff that he does, it does find application at Laravel Inc. and other places. So like even then there is a commercial value to a lot of the work that he does. But I don't know, he's just kind of like a person I can think of right offhand that I think sways largely towards the more philanthropic side than like, I'm putting this package out there so that, I have a really good resume pattern whenever I apply to this next place. So I don't know, get that, like, people just need to understand that, it's a lot of this stuff that's to the contrary. It's just, it's silly. And again, go ask the Core.js guy how well trying to do big FOSS is when there's zero upside for you.
I even want to touch on something you said about the large companies like the ByteDance, like Microsoft, like Meta,
Sure.
like Google, because you say like they've got the capacity and they're doing it maybe as a bit of a PR thing. And this really is it. I mean, like, it's a loss leader for them. Think about it.
Yeah. Even
They've got
Spassy, like to a
teams.
smaller company example, right? That's not
Yeah,
the
you can
Microsoft.
take
It
that
is still
model
a loss
and you
leader
can
for them.
you can do it if you've worked out the numbers and you know like you've got a good solid other thing that you can use as the stream of income and you can afford to offset the cost of doing something else, then it's fine, right? But even the huge multi-hundred billion trillion dollar corporations, they cannot swallow this, right? Because you see what's happening. Last year or the year before, the Flutter team was reduced. This year already, the Maui Xamarin team in Microsoft has been reduced. The organizations and people with the deep pockets that are kind of around these projects just get to a tired point. They just go, this isn't doing what it used to do. It's not doing enough for us anymore. We can't afford to see this cost line on our P&L. basically.
Yeah.
Like, they're finance people, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to look at the numbers and then they're going to go, do we need this? Nah, cut it. They don't care about like the developer community. Not really. You know, somebody in there is going to be like, what are you doing? You're destroying our tool that's like, we've got this huge community and that's worth billions of dollars on our, you know, in a way that you can't see through the spreadsheets.
That's
You can't just get rid of
probably,
that.
I want to say, like, that's probably why, and I've thought about this for a long time, why the Laravel community is so tight knit. We don't have this huge corporation that is like scattering people because they're selling off huge chunks or whatever to something else, or just dropping the ball completely. Look at, like you just said, Spotty's packages and stuff. He's still putting stuff out. He just did another one like this week, right? He's still doing, because the people that are actively contributing to this truly care about the community.
100%.
And that's
And I will always buy Mail Coach from them to support them.
Yeah.
that's, you know, like Flux Pro. I got that the day that he announced it on
Yeah.
on whatever. Maybe, actually, I think it was when I got back from Laracon. But I don't use Flux Pro very much. I don't have the opportunity to do it very much with everything I'm doing today. I did it because I support Caleb. I like Caleb. I know that he's doing a lot of hard work and solving problems that, and I see that as that's really the right way this kind of thing should be built up. We can all get there if we all kind of contribute and we all put something in, we all get something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and as you guys have mentioned already, like in, I think, the long term, you do hope to have some portion of the work that's been done that can be boss. I don't know if it'll be exactly like Caleb's approach with Flux, where he has base Flux and then Flux Pro. So it's like a limited subset of the most advanced, most time consuming, yet most time saving components that a developer can have. That's what you pay for, which, as I've said so many times, like that's really what native PHP mobile is. It is a massive time saver.
Look at both Tailwind UI and Flux. Both of those, I can go to the website, I can see what it is that I like, I can copy, I can paste it in my app, and I have the same result. It saves me all the time of having to figure out all the things. It is just copy, paste, and I've got the result in my app. And that's that. I do believe that to some extent we're along the same lines of that. It is just the Laravel, and actually it's in a very different way. There's no copy paste. You're just building.
Yeah.
Go to Flux, go to Tailwind UI, copy paste, put it in there, and now it's in a freaking mobile app. Like it's a whole new
copy
platform
paste terminal
unlocked.
command.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Thinking about, like we said last week, that you know you don't even need a trial from one angle. You can just go and build your Laravel app,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like you've built the Laravel app, and that's what's gonna, if you do, you know, somebody's done a demo where they're showing you, well, if you do it in the browser and you switch on the dev tools and you switch it to mobile mode,
There
you
you
know, and that's basically what it's going to look like. So you can build the whole application in terms of UI and
That's a
back
good
end
point. You want to trial?
functionality
Go
without
open your browser.
even having to have the tool. But
Right.
the thing that people want to know is my app gonna work in, you know, how do I
That's where
know
education
what
comes in.
happens when I use, yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of ways of approaching that. One is that you give them some sort of demo tool, you know, like the Expo app, Expo Go, whatever it's called, which is what we've been talking about with Marcel. The other is content and education, so videos and articles and blah blah blah, and we're going to do more of that, obviously. But there's still this like group of people that are going to go, you know, I don't know that the rain is wet until I stick my hand out the window and feel it, you know, and I understand that. I completely get that. We will get to a point where that is what you can do, but we're just not there yet. It's like, this isn't the time for that, for this business, you know. It's like that we will come to a time when that will make sense, and that's what we have to do, because we need the adoption at that point to pump into the funnel of like the other things that we're hopefully going to get some revenue out of to keep the whole thing going. But I'm not going to do that up front and take all of the pain of that and the cost of that, because that could destroy the whole thing. That literally could bring the ship down. Like, we've got a little life raft at the moment. We haven't got a ship. And we got to be really cautious about the things that we, yeah, we've got to be really cautious about the things we take on, you know, because we'll start taking on water and then it's all over.
We have to cut in 7 minutes. So, but in that time, we didn't really get a chance to talk too much about the skeleton app idea, right? That Marcel presented. And what you just said, Simon, is like my biggest argument to not going that direction. And it's that, how do I know with like 100% certainty, or at least at the whatever percentage equates to the value I feel from not just buying the license anyway and like giving it a go, right? So I'm thinking, if I'm like a company that has an established app and I probably am leaning this direction to do a mobile app side of my thing, and I am wanting to verify that the stuff we're using, right, to kind of build the UI and whatever, I don't know, is truly going to work with native PHP mobile. So that's why I want to trial. Is the mock app, and I'm actually like asking like on a technical level, so that's where I'm getting at here, is that like good enough to make those people feel comfortable that like, hey, yes, I am using this mock application, it's showing me what I would get out, and I trust that enough to like go ahead and take the plunge and just know that the true, using the true source, the true packages, I'm going to get the result I'm looking for. Did that even make sense? Like,
yeah,
it's almost like, I don't know. Never
it's
mind.
kind of
you
like
understand what I'm saying. So respond.
You're saying that, you know, this mock app, let's call it Native PHP Go, right, is somehow different fundamentally under the hood to you building just your app with the native PHP library. And the answer to that question is no, it's not different. It would be exactly the same. Because when you think about what the parts are, you have your Laravel application with a composer package in it, which exposes the interfaces to the native functions that we have created. The app side in Kotlin and Swift is basically just the other half of that puzzle. So that half doesn't need to change pretty much at all. Like, the only thing that would be different about that is the delivery mechanism. Instead of it being your Laravel app bundled into those two variations, pre-bundled, we're giving you the capacity to like chuck it in after the fact. So delivery mechanism, that's all. And even that wouldn't be that different. Like, we're going to end up with something that looks like that anyway by default for everybody, because we're going to do over the air updates, which is going to have to work something similar to that. So you've got this delivery mechanism, and the other half is just your Laravel app. So like, as long as it knows how to use the interfaces that are available in the package, when it's joined up with that other half and can see those, it's just going to work. So the experience would be, it's not going to be 100% the same, because you're not going to be able to do some of the things like renaming the app, changing the icon, opting into things like push notifications and whatever, because some of those are baked into the binary side of the Kotlin app and the Swift app, which will be dependent on what we're capable of setting up for that demo app tool. But you know, most of the basic,
close enough.
Yeah, most of the basic APIs are going to be available to you.
Okay.
And you know that, but I think your point is, even so, it's still not going to be enough for some people.
Well, I mean, hearing that, I think I like that approach a lot. Shane, you clearly have thoughts.
I agree with pretty much all of that, except it's not ever over my dead body going to be called Go or Connect.
It's only
or
I'm only
any
using
of
that as a
that
reference
bullshit.
because Expo Go is I think the
yeah,
demo app
that's
that they
why.
have. Yeah.
It's going to be something really
Synthetic PHP.
clever. I'm thinking like, no, I don't know. I want to dream about that a little bit. It's going to be something catchy and fun. If we even do that, we don't even, it's just a POC right now. We don't know what it's going to be and how that's going to actually, whatever. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of
So
work
then
to
I
do.
guess, the getting back to Shane saying, I want to do it once. Then I
Right.
guess it's really just a matter of how long might something like that take. And at that point, since like you could technically turn on trial functionality and Stripe, so like 5 seconds of effort and that's
That's true.
available.
That's the problem
Doesn't
is
make
like
sense to
if
do
we
that.
turn that off in the future, then it confuses people. And that's like the more changes we make to that kind of stuff, in my mind, the less what is that? Like it's like the less trust that we have with people. If we constantly chase things, then they're going to know that we'll chase the next thing for them. And then they'll say, oh, this is the thing. And then they're just playing mind games with us and that kind of stuff. And then there's like, how can you trust somebody that's just going to do everything you want anytime you say it? You know what I mean? Like we have a backbone. We have a vision. We know where we're going. We know where we've been. We know we can see the future of the project very, very clearly. And some things are clearly, no matter what we do, our timeline is not going to coincide with everybody else's timeline. It's never going to. So I think that when we started this, before we even released anything, before we even any of that stuff, Simon and I had very deep conversations about the way that we saw the project go in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, in completely in step. Like everything that he was saying and everything I was saying, we both immediately agreed with, like, yes, that's exactly how I see this playing out for the future. There's obviously going to be some adaptations. Initially I thought Android would take me 6 to 8 months to get it going. It was like 2. So like there's some speeding things up, and that's kind of where we find ourselves now, is like, we got way more traction a lot sooner and faster than we anticipated. And so now it's like, okay, we got some money in the bank, but like you said, it's a raft. It's not a ship. We need more people to come in. We need more funding. And that's kind of bottom line for us right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we've hit our time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Simon. Sorry.
Nope.
We're done.
You should have been
We're done.
quicker, dude.
Should
You
have been
had your
quicker.
chance, dude. You had your chance.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I think this was your classic stand-up. We talked for over an hour and made no conclusions. So thank you.
Except Simon can't get Marmite in the Canary Islands.
And he wants pizza.
Oh, well, I think I can, but it's really expensive. I just want somebody to bring it to me.
Okay. If
Let's
anybody
get a
wants to
hold
get on
of,
Simon's good graces, Cinema Care package.
But we could sell the whole thing to Meta or something, and you can have all the pizza you want. How about that?
There we go.
And then everyone can get Native PHP for free.
For free. There you go.
Until they shut it down.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please share us. I think it's crazy. We've sold 900 licenses and we've got 66 subscribers on the bucket.
We need to change the name of the podcast to Talking Native.
Yeah, it could. I mean, we could talk about that. We can talk. I mean, it's crazy how things. I like the bucket. I think we should just stay true to our roots to some degree.
We definitely talk about all sorts of shit. So it just feels much more.
We don't have to stick to. Yeah, it's just our place. So actually, it's kind of nice to have like no. You think about it, people then telling us like what we should talk about all the time and stuff. Like I don't think so. But if you did like this episode, and if you appreciate anything we said here, please share it with friends, family, neighbors, cats, dogs, and the like. We do want to see the channel grow. We like seeing comments and stuff. Our time is a little more limited these days than it used to be, but yeah, we like hanging out. We want to just be part of everybody else's lives as much as we can because it's fun.
Yeah.
So,
and if you have any thoughts, like if you are a native PHP user and you have thoughts on this stuff, like let us know.
I know a way to reward subscribers. Let's put a 10% coupon
Oh.
in a pinned comment. How about that?
Right at the end, I've got another one. If you've listened all this way, lucky you. If you like PHP Storm by JetBrains, I can give you 25% off. Do you want 25% off?
That's
yeah.
cool.
How do I get this?
Discount
heck,
code
dude?
I listened
Native
this long.
PHP. The discount code is Native PHP. That'll
Wow.
save you the $50 or $100 that you
What
can
the
then
heck?
spend on
Heck
Native PHP.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, that's
Do it.
brilliant.
Hey, JetBrains.
This
thank
episode is
you.
brought
That's
to you by
awesome.
JetBrains.
Thanks, JetBrains.
Wow. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
This is
cool.
fantastic. There you go, Tendai.
Hey,
Guys.
Aaron. At the end of
Yeah,
this.
right. I think this has been a fantastic episode. Let's also remember we need to talk again about giving away a Laracon ticket. So
Yep.
that's on the agenda for next episode. We have to
Yep.
figure that out. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. See you, Matt.